Guidons. This is Bad Batch 5. Welcome to the January 2024 campaign, Operation Echo Chamber. Within this video brief is going to be the background story, Mahalas, how FOBs work, respawns and returns, helicopter ops, the Task Force Bad Batch Motor Pool 2.0, enemy intelligence, fuel mechanics, dissemination of information, times and timing, and we'll conclude with the Session 1 AO update. Background story. You're being thrust into the heart of Kunar province, replacing a unit ousted by an insurgency led by one Malik Aziz. With just 5 days left in Ramadan, the locals oscillate between fasting by day and celebrating by night. FOB Michigan is your new home. Malik Aziz has turned the AO into a breeding ground for insurgency. At his disposal are IED production sites, IED deployment teams, ambush teams, mortar teams, and anti-air teams. A significant concern lies in the desolate village of Guru, just outside of FOB Blessing. Guru, once vibrant, now stands as a testament to Aziz's brutality, a ghost town echoing the stories of families executed in the wake of cooperation with the previous U.S. unit. Rahim, the owner of the auto shop in Guru, is someone you should work with in order to take down Aziz's operations in the AO. Mahalas. Kunar province has been divided into 15 different mahalas. These mahalas are very similar to districts in Masalo. The beginning of Operation Echo Chamber will focus on what is known as Region Alpha, and thus Task Force Bad Batch is not authorized to leave Region Alpha. Having a look at Region Alpha, it is home to our home FOB Michigan, as well as Mahalas 183, 185, 187, and 189, with FOB Blessing being in 185, FOB Thunderbolt in 189. How FOBs work. Initially, Task Force Bad Batch aircrafts are only authorized to land on Task Force Bad Batch landing pads. Any FOB or outpost on the map with a vanilla helicopter pad can be annexed and occupied. To annex a FOB, the FOB must contain at least one Task Force Bad Batch soldier and be clear of any and all enemies. Once annexed, that FOB is considered occupied. When a FOB is occupied, its helicopter pad will be changed to a Task Force Bad Batch helicopter pad, allowing Task Force Bad Batch helicopters to land there. Be advised, the only helo pads that are capable of refueling will be at FOB Michigan. If an annexed FOB is left empty for more than 10 minutes, it is no longer considered occupied, and its Task Force Bad Batch helicopter pad is removed. This FOB also becomes populated with enemies. Occupied FOBs are known to be attacked periodically. Players will begin sessions where they were at the end of the previous session. At this time, the vanilla landing pad locations are FOB Michigan, FOB Blessing, FOB Thunderbolt, the Korangal Outpost, and OP Restrepo. Respawns and returns. The server will be running a mod that makes it impossible to die. You only get knocked unconscious. When a player is knocked unconscious, their level of injury will determine how the player is brought back conscious. If they are unconscious with a minor injury, this player can be healed by a battle buddy or medic anywhere on the battlefield. If they're unconscious with a moderate injury, same as minor, this player can be healed by a battle buddy or medic anywhere on the battlefield. If the player is unconscious with a serious injury, this player must be medevaced back to FOB Michigan for treatment. There's no more reverse 5-line medevacs, there are only 5-line medevacs. A new custom Task Force Bad Batch medic helicopter will facilitate this change. Once healed, you may be transported back to the fight however desired by leadership on the ground, keeping in mind helicopter ops and LZ restrictions. Helicopter ops. Initially, standard transportation helicopters can only land on Task Force Bad Batch landing pads. Medic helicopters may land anywhere in the AO to pick up injured, wounded soldiers only. If you aren't a pilot, a medic, or unconscious, you are not allowed in a medic helicopter. Task Force Bad Batch Motor Pool 2.0. Task Force Bad Batch vehicles are en route to Kunar Province via ship and should arrive before Task Force Bad Batch. Enemy intelligence. IED production sites. Every Mahala contains 2 IED production sites. Production sites are typically a single room of a building. Neutralizing both sites will reduce all IED activity in the Mahala. To neutralize an IED production site, destroy the welding gas tanks found within. The second IED production site neutralized in each Mahala will contain the 8-digit grids to that Mahala's 2 IED caches. IED caches. Every Mahala contains 2 IED caches. They will always be found outdoors. Destroying both caches will reduce the amount of IEDs in the given Mahala. IEDs and EOD mechanics. IEDs are a function and service provided by the GMs and are not automated in any way. EOD services are also provided by the Game Masters. If an IED is located, whether detonated or not, the area must be secured and the location of the IED must be called into the TOC, who will dispatch EOD. The area must be secure and free of enemies for EOD to arrive to the scene of the IED. EOD will blast the IED site, at which time Task Force Bad Batch is free to Charlie Mike. Enemy mortar mechanics. If you fall under mortar fire, it means there is an enemy mortar team within 400 meters of you. Enemy mortar fire will continue for about 6 minutes, at which time the barrage will end and the mortar tubes and team will despawn if Task Force Bad Batch has not discovered them. If they've been discovered, the mortar team will mount their vehicle and attempt to escape. If the mortar tubes and team are destroyed, enemy mortar fire across the entire map ceases for the remainder of the session. Enemy anti-air sites. The enemy has 6 towable ZU-23 anti-air guns. They can be set up anywhere on the map, but generally stick to improved roads and surfaces. Destroying a ZU-23 is permanent and removes one of the enemy's resources from the campaign. The more ZU-23s that get destroyed, the more fortified anti-air sites will become in the future. Fuel mechanics. The fuel consumption rate on the server will be boosted to 26x. This means a Humvee with a full tank of fuel driving from Fob Blessing to Fob Thunderbolt will consume approximately 35% of its fuel. Fuel is available at Fob Michigan, including 1 fuel truck. Initially, this is the only authorized way to obtain fuel from Fob Michigan. A note, a completely empty Humvee will be made 100% by a fuel truck and only drain 2% of the fuel truck's fuel storage. Dissemination of information. Task Force Bad Batch will be integrated into a fictitious battalion, and in doing so will be guided by a battalion commander, Colonel Bishop. Colonel Bishop will provide his orders every Wednesday during the campaign in preparation of Friday's 2-hour session. This will be included in an AO update card similar to Operation Bottle Rocket, the October 2023 campaign. The Kunar Times will also release a newspaper article about the ongoings in the region every Tuesday. Times and timing. Each Friday session will consist of 2 hours of session time. Each 2-hour session will simulate a 24-hour cycle in-game, which begins and ends at 11 a.m. It's 1100 hours. At the end of each session, players must note in their Discord section channel where they are in Kunar. For example, I'm at Fob Blessing. Players will then be TP'd to Fob Michigan for the session AAR. Session 1 AO update. A message from Colonel Bishop. I trust this message finds you setting in at Fob, Michigan. Welcome to Kunar Province. Now, to address the less than ideal news. Unfortunately, we've encountered a delay in the arrival of your designated vehicles. As of now, all we have readily available for you at Fob, Michigan is a fuel truck, 2 Hueys, and a medical bird. However, I want to assure you that we have identified a solution to bridge this gap. There are 6 armored Humvees stored at Fob Blessing, left behind by the previous unit when they were forced to withdraw hastily due to the actions of Aziz. While the situation is less than ideal, these Humvees should serve as a viable interim solution until your intended vehicles arrive. If you have time while you're outside the wire, introduce yourselves to Rahim at the Guru Automotive Shop. Signed, Colonel Bishop. Session 1 Objectives. Required. Annex and occupy Fob Blessing. Required. Take control of 6 Humvees at Fob Blessing. Optional. Visit Rahim at the Guru Automotive Shop. Campaign objectives, specifically Region Alpha. Disrupt Malik Aziz's operations in the AO. To do this, neutralize 8 IED production sites. Completed 0 of 8. Destroy 8 IED caches. Completed 0 of 8. At this time, known enemy assets, 6 ZU-23 anti-air guns. Human intelligence. Rahim. Find Rahim at the automotive shop in Guru.